Let me double check the bracket here. And as they're off, I believe I am correct. They're going to be jumping now, like they always do in the prologue, to gain that little extra speed at the end of each jump. This is going to be an important race, because whoever wins this is going to be facing off against Moose in the best-of-3 stages. So this is going to be the last best-of-1 format race from each racer. And going into Forsaken City here, one thing you're going to want is you're going to want to have a lot of just kind of quick gameplay. Obviously, that's a thing for the whole game, but City is one of the least kind of obstacle-based levels. There's a lot of just open places to move around, and it's a good kind of test to see, like, if Prologue was a good kind of warm-up before you get introduced to the Dash, City is definitely a good kind of place to see, like, how you're physically feeling in terms of, are your dashes on point? Are you, in the zone yet? And it's really good to get in the zone as soon as possible in this game, as even one death, like Psyched took there, can put GrosHiken in the lead very early on. Of course, though, there are many lead switches to come, most likely. However, despite that one death, that was a pretty good... Oh, that was a pretty good City from both... There we go, second try strat there for GrosHiken, making Psyched take the lead at the end of Chapter 1. And then going into Chapter 2, here's where the game kind of switches up. So, I mentioned Chapter 1 was a very open chapter. Chapter 2 introduces dream blocks, which are, like, way crazier than the zippers you saw in Chapter 1. And this really kind of gets into the speedrun, like, this is going to get crazy kind of mode, where you're going to see some absolutely crazy things using these dream blocks. And it only gets crazier once you realize how quickly you have to do them, as coming up soon, Psyched and GrosHiken are going to be coming into the battle in the fight. I guess it's more of a chase, really, because you're running away from her. Because if you touch her, you die, but she copies your movements exactly 3 seconds behind you do them. So you kind of have to not only move fast, but make sure you're, moving at a constant rate, which is really tricky, especially because in some of these rooms you're going to be forced to move like back and forth a lot of the time, which gives Madeline a prime example to run into you if you're being careless. Hopefully these two will be feeling good. They already got through that one room with the keys that I consider to be the hardest, so that's fine. But taking a death at, like, say, the end of this long room is definitely one of the worst things that can happen this early into the run. Of course, deaths in general aren't as bad as they seem in this game because of how quickly you respawn and how short some of these rooms are. But, like, there are definitely places where it is worse than other places to take a death, and that is one of the worst rooms that both of them are now past. And it seems like Psyched has a pretty good lead heading into Awake. We'll have to see the chapter closure times for both of them to truly know what it's like, but something tells me this is something that Psyched really would like to have. I don't know the PBs of these two players, so I don't know who's better, but throughout the tourney, GrosHiken has had consistently very good gameplay, so to be this far ahead of someone like this early on is great. Yeah, he's about 10 seconds ahead. But in Resort, 10 seconds doesn't mean a lot. Resort is one of the most brutal stages because of the death cycles, so they're gonna have to play on the ball throughout the whole chapter, which it's hard to play on ball throughout an entire chapter because there's just so much that can go wrong. But Psyched is definitely showing that he does not want to falter, and he's definitely putting in the work as to not. So it'll definitely be great if he keeps up his play like this. Meanwhile, GrosHiken also doing pretty well. I've not seen anything bad from either of these two since we started Resort. And let's just hope that continues, because this is a great race as it is. That jump always scares me. That Psyched just did. Alright, heading into the huge mess here. I kept thinking of the song name here that's about to play for Psyched, Scattered and Lost, but this is Huge Mess. So we'll see how he does. This is a section where it really gets difficult to move. All of these screens are going to be very small and very compact, as you see like this room with all of the boxes in it. So it's definitely one of the harder sections at this point in the game. Of course, this game only gets harder as it goes on, so when I say something is a hard section, I'm kind of having to say that to scale. Not calling this game easy, of course, but just this game's kind of difficulty. This game does a very good job with its difficulty, and this chapter really marks where it ramps up for the first time, especially considering the length of this chapter. Both of these races have already been in this chapter longer than they have the other two. So when the chapters get longer, it's harder to play them more consistent. But Psyched obviously doesn't care about that and is just playing amazing anyways. GrosHiken still being able to like make sure that the lead that Psyched had doesn't grow, which is a really good thing to be able to do. But Psyched doesn't seem to be in the mood to let the lead shrink, per se. So it'll be really interesting, because someone eventually has to let up, but there's no sign as to who right now, because these two are both just amazing runners. But I'm thinking someone's going to have to let up, and I'm not sure who it's going to be. I can tell you who it's going to be that goes into the elevator shaft first, and that's going to be Psyched. Who is now done with the huge mess. And the elevator shaft is just a very evil set of screens. And no, this is not the 2-hour run. If you've been watching the world record holder play this game recently, you might be seeing a lot of a category called All Chapters, since that recently got into SGDQ, or AGDQ, my bad. But this tournament features runners playing any percent, which is just a minimum requirement beat the 7th level of the game, the Summit. So this run is, for these two players, using the in-game timer, which cuts out loading screens because of different PCs possibly having advantages over other. These two are probably going to take around 35 minutes, tops. Probably less, though. One thing that can cause a problem is this room for GrosHiken, because coming into the last couple of rooms before the Ishiro fight, and it kind of only gets amplified once you get into the Ishiro fight, there are some long rooms, and as I've explained in Chapter 2, rooms that are longer are usually worse to die in, because you'll get sent back to the start no matter where you are in the room. There are a few exceptions to this rule, actually, which I'll talk about when I get to them, or when we get to them, but we're not there yet, so. For now, the only checkpoint is the beginning of a room. And taking a death is just awful, like the amount that GrosHiken took. Psyched, meanwhile, isn't taking deaths at all through the Soshiro chase section, so it's definitely a good thing for Psyched. Blazing this far ahead, kind of looking like a really good lead early on. We'll see that, 8:41 finish, which is a really good finish. And has took one death, and that was an intentional death. I'm not even sure if Psyched has... No, Psyched took an unintentional death in City, my bad. I was about to say, I don't even know if Psyched has taken an unintentional death yet. This is an absolutely crazy run. And let's hope Golden Ridge doesn't change that, because Ridge is a short chapter. It is the shortest chapter other than chapters 1 and 2, but it is brutal. This chapter has a lot of things that can very violently move you in directions you may not want to go. And it can be hard to react to everything. Let's see, 920. So if I recall correctly, what is that? Is that like a 40-second lead for Psyched? That is absolutely crazy this early on. Between these two racers, Psycked's playing out of his mind right now. I'm, again, not sure if anyone's PB in this race, so if anybody... I'm kind of too invested to take my eyes off of this to go check speedrun.com, but if anybody knows these two... Oh my god. If anybody knows these two's PBs, please let me know in the chat. Oh, Psyched the Rampage. Alright, there you go. Still back on top. Again, deaths are not as costly as they may seem in this game. So, that one death for Psyched probably is not going to matter too much in the long run. I don't know, unless his PB has a Ridge Gold. Think it should be fine. Oh, okay, Psyched has a 31. Yeah, that explains a lot, actually. And GrosHiken 3243. Okay. Thank you, Life and Night. Life and Elf? I must have read that wrong the first time. But I can definitely kind of see the strat difference between a 31 and a 32 player when watching these two. Still getting that block skip, though. Very nice on GrosHiken's end. And Cliff Face for Psyched is currently not seeming to be an issue. That's the thing that seems like it in this game. As much as like maybe someone who doesn't know about running thinks this section looks like hell, with the lack of luck in this game, and the fact that basically everything is physically like feasible to do. Well, not everything is feasible. That is the wrong term, but like everything is kind of controllable by the player. A lot of sections aren't that hard because we just come up with movement that's not even just consistent for everybody, but consistent for the said runner specifically, just to get through it as quick as possible. And it's definitely just a crazy, crazy time. And alright, Psyched heading into Mirror Temple. This is a very closed-in chapter. Golden Ridge was this huge open mountain, and now we're in this very cramped temple. Does not look cramped now, but it will get cramped, trust me. A lot of the rooms will get a lot smaller as we go on with the temple. And a lot of the rooms will be skipped, as you saw there. Psyched skipped a few rooms. Very nicely done. You're not supposed to use the spikes that way. You're supposed to get a red bubble, which you see making them fly across the screen. They're very good at doing that, and it's a very interesting mechanic that makes this chapter just amazing. We'll see. Oh, nope, didn't get the... I think some people like to call that the yeet. And then if you don't get it in the second room, it's called the yee, as a half yeet. But I think Psyched maybe got like a Y. Because didn't get into the second room with the speed, but still got pretty decently far with the speed. We'll see how GrosHiken goes on it, if they go for it at all. And we still have time to figure that out, because they're still at the beginning of the Mirror Temple. Oh, that's an unfortunate place to die from GrosHiken. Just a little, maybe slip of the whatever controller. I don't know what controller GrosHiken uses, so I can't say for sure. But it looked very close to the bubble, maybe just an accidental move in a direction that was not intended, and boom, death. Which is why this game can really just be... It can seem like there's luck in this game, even when there's not. And it looks like no eating for GrosHiken, unfortunately. It's a very cool strat to watch, just like that one that Psyched did, off of that small little wall on the corner of the spikes, getting a jump. That is a strat that always amazes me, because it's just so specific, and it seems like, why would you ever go for it? But a lot of people tend to go for it, and it tends to work out for them. So hey, maybe I was doing something wrong when I was still playing this game. And Psyched, okay. You can calm down now. This absolutely crazy good unraveling here. Unraveling is a really difficult section because the Seeker, it tracks your position, and if your position is like basically just pixels off of a different position, the Seeker can act like way different than it would in a lot of situations. So it's a really hard stage to get consistently, because if you're not like, it feels like you sometimes have to be pixel perfect to get the Seeker position that you want. And Psyched, if he knows that, probably was just as perfect as they needed to be to just fly through that, get search skip first try. This is an absolutely crazy run. I don't think I can stress it enough. GrosHiken taking an unfortunate death. Oh, that was a really weird thing to see. Okay. So, was GrosHiken trying to corner boost off of that block there? I don't think I've ever seen that. That was a very interesting strategy. It, unfortunately, it costed a few deaths, but is out of the room and onto Unraveling now, as Psyched is here in the rescue with Theo. Looking very good, getting every... Jeez. These rooms are really hard to do, like, this fast. You have to use your speed really well, because Theo's kind of, momentum mechanics can kind of be really weird. But obviously when you're Psyched, everything is just too fast. Where's Psyched's 29, honestly? This is insane. And it looks like GrosHiken made it through Unraveling. Very nicely done. Gonna be heading on to Search Skip, which we'll see how he does on it. Search Skip isn't really the hardest thing in the world, despite being the biggest. So it's pretty nice, because it's actually kind of like an entry-level skip. However, I have seen even top-level players mess it up, so it's very good to see GrosHiken getting through the room first try. And Psyched maybe having a bit of an internet problem. We were told before the race that Psyched has been having a bit of a problem with his net, so we're kind of just hoping that he doesn't have a disconnection here. So far, it looks like the stream's been running very well, so that's at least a relief as we head into the 6th chapter. But maybe that's why there was a bit of pause there to just watch out for. Very good movement with the feather. You can see the analog on the feather with the precise angles. And the first try leg skip. And GrosHiken's getting just as precise with the Theo movement. Very nice to see these two players both playing very well. Right, yeah. GrosHiken is making a joke out of some of these Theo rooms. Having a bit of problem with what's probably the easiest one, but otherwise, rocking it. Lost speed there, but still got a pretty good boost through most of the room. So, very good for GrosHiken. And Psyched, speaking of boosts, in the middle of sprouting wings and flying away. Just absolutely crazy on the movement. What is that? Jeez. I'm always amazed no matter how many times I watch this game, because there are just so many crazy strats and just movement things that, like, a lot of people don't go for. watching every runner of this game is like watching a different run, really. Which is why I think this tournament has been amazing, yet also really hard to commentate. But Psyched does not want to give me time to explain what he's doing. He just wants me to talk about the end of the game because he's going to be there in no time. Oh. GrosHiken, though, is not far behind on Psyched. It's honestly probably going to take a lot for Psyched to, for GrosHiken to kind of take this back at this rate. But this bumper room might be exactly what we need to happen a few times. With a few deaths from Psyched, that's definitely something GrosHiken can use to their advantage if they can pull off some of this chapter very well. There's a lot of problems from Psyched here. Getting through this room, though, which is good. That was kind of getting scary there. And GrosHiken headed towards the split paths right now. A few screens before them, but still on the way. Let's see, going for the... Oh no! Taking a death on the final shortcut. Meaning have to go through these 3 gaps again. Because doing the second shortcut entails skipping the checkpoint that's in the middle of this room. This is one of the rooms that I talked about earlier that has a checkpoint in the middle. You see Psyched going up on that platform now to activate the checkpoint before finally getting the skip on, I believe that was the 3rd try. That was a very nice little boost from GrosHiken there. Definitely it seems like capitalizing on the problems that Psyched had on this section. Okay, apparently bumpers just are not people's things today. Lots of screw-ups with the bumpers seems to be a theme here. So maybe we'll just blame those and not, you know, the gameplay. That seems to be easier, at least. But there are no bumpers in the... Actually, no, that's a lie. A few bumpers are in the battle line section, but they're not appearing yet. We'll probably see them soon, though, with how quickly Psyched is going through. You're seeing a lot of downwards dashing here, as well. So, as I've mentioned countless times, this game moves very fast, if you couldn't tell. However, a lot of that technique is kind of locked to being on the ground, so you want to be on the ground a lot. So, when Madeline knocks you backward, or when Madeline knocks you backwards, what you're going to want to do is try and get on the ground as fast as possible, which usually constitutes to doing some sort of downwards dash or some sort of like diagonal downwards dash in order to just get on the ground faster, while also trying to move forward as much as possible, because obviously you have an objective and you just want to do whatever you can to reach that. Yeah, so here are some bumpers. Although not messing them up, so I guess we can't blame them anymore. GrosHiken about to head into the screen with the very large Kevin block just before the battle and boost. And a very nice battle and boost. Just flew through it. Psyched already at the remix, so maybe about like a 2/3 or so of the battle and fight ahead of GrosHiken, which is a very strong lead at this point in the run. Oh, no, that was a very unfortunate death there. on the last room of the fight. I saw that. That was kind of not good. But Psyched is now finished with the fight. And it's going to be leveling up. So, red hair is 1 dash, blue hair is 0 dashes, pink hair is 2. As I said earlier in the chapter, a lot of the movement tech in this game involves wanting to stay on the ground, so you can do stuff like your hypers and your extendeds. However, with 2 dashes, the level design for the upcoming final chapter, the summit, is going to force you into the air a lot. So it's going to be another chapter where it can be pretty difficult to move at times, but you'll see what Psyched manages to do to make sure that nothing bad happens. And there's a Windows noise. So yeah, I've mentioned the problems with Psyched's net. So must have finally caught up. Oh, nope, we're fine. Heading into the final chapter here. This is kind of going to be a montage-like chapter, so we're going to see kind of snippets of little portions inspired by every chapter in the game before the final section of the game, which is its own theme. So, for example, here, we're starting with a section themed after the chapter we just finished. You can see kind of the colors have been changed because we're finally, like, not in a cave, but it has those little clumpy spikes, as I like to call them. Gonna be in 500 now. So since this game takes place in Canada, it does use meters. 500 meters is themed after Forsaken City. And it is a very interesting section. Summit, if you couldn't already tell, goes crazy with the spikes and the open pits. And the what the hell was that movement? That is crazy. I've never seen that. But, yeah. And GrosHiken's gonna join the spiky open pit, ball pit. I could have said spiky ball pit, but I wanted to include the bottomless pits, and let's just say I ruined my own joke. But not, similar is how Psyched didn't ruin 500 and got into 1000. Oh, that's unfortunate. Missing the dream block doesn't get you your dash back. Going in the dream block gets you your dash back, but Psyched unfortunately did the former on the first go-round. And is doing a better job not to do that again, though. GrosHiken heading into 500. This is definitely an interesting chapter, because despite the kind of shift or the difference in time between these two, we could definitely still see a last-minute lead shift if Psyched really struggles, which we've unfortunately seen a lot of since the beginning of Chapter 6, or about, like, the first third of Chapter 6. But who knows if it's going to be enough, because GrosHiken has also been having some troubles here that I've been noticing. Despite both playing very well, there definitely have been sections that both of them had major problems with. This screen possibly being one for GrosHiken? Nope, never mind. And a very nice 1500 heading into the last room. At this point, I'm honestly kind of not sure if GrosHiken... It's definitely going to take, like, probably a mess up bigger than that's happened this entire run if GrosHiken's going to take over Psyched, in my opinion. I think this might just be Psyched's game to lose at this point, but definitely could lose it, I think. This is going to be hard, I think, for GrosHiken to take from Psyched. I think Psyched, at this rate, if Psyched's not going to win this race, it's going to be Psyched throwing it himself. So, hopefully it won't come to that. We would not like to see Psyched lose in a race like this. Or not, okay. Let me word that better so it sounds like I'm not picking sides. It would definitely be unfortunate to see Psyched fall from a lead like this, because it's been a consistently very good lead throughout the entire race, and to see it collapse at the end would be very unfortunate for Psyched. Very nice Ultra Room for GrosHiken as Psyched heads into the last recap section of the summit before the finale. We have 2,500 meters. Our Mirror Temple themed Bonanza has a lot of things going on. Such as the return of Red Bubbles, which is always a crazy time. Also, we're going to do a key skip here. We're going to do a double wall jump off of this corner, and then a wall jump off of another very specific corner. And then we can double dash up to get a key, which we then retry to get back to the beginning of the screen earlier. A very nice looking strat that saves a decent amount of time. And Psyched moving on to the final 3 screens of 2,500. 3 very brutal screens. Especially with door skip, which you see Psyched mess up there. Gonna go for it second try though, and gets a second try. And unfortunately, GrosHiken taking a death. Both of them took a death with the 2 berries. So I'm sorry to all you berry fanatics, but not happening. GrosHiken with the second try auto scroller skip though, so it's all good. Meanwhile, Psyched now heading into 3,000, the final section of the game. 30 flags. I don't have anything else to count down. 30 flags. Lots of dashes. Let's do this. Starting off with a lot of upward dashing, as obviously you're climbing up a mountain to reach the summit of it. You're also going to be introduced to winds, which either try and hinder that or quote-unquote help that. We say hinder because this is pushing you downwards, although a lot of people tend to like getting to the ground faster, which is definitely reasonable. But when there's this many spikes on the floor, sometimes the ground is not the best place to be. Meanwhile, there will be upwards winds, which usually push you away from those spikes, or at least help you fall to them slower. However, when you kind of want to get on the ground, it's not as good. I just have a dissenting opinion in a lot of things about this game, it seems, but apparently Psyched doesn't need opinions when he just has too much speed to control. He getting to 2,500? And Psyched in with the upward wind. We get to see how GrosHiken does on key skip shortly, which it's not the hardest thing in the world, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. This room is, in fact, usually a bigger problem than key skip. It's a kind of specific wave dash into a first try key skip, very nicely done. And Psyched getting past flag 13 here. First try getting past flag 13, a very infamous flag. Very good thing to see it done first try, just to get rid of the worry of flag 13, which is definitely a real thing. Skipping flag 10, and then dying, having to review flag 11. Flag 11 is not the hardest thing in the world, but it's just unfortunate. Yeah, we see Psyched going the extra few steps in the air to get flag 10 that time. skipping flag 8, though, which is a way more understandable play than skipping flag 10. Let's try door skip for GrosHiken, unless I missed death. Why is Chrome fighting me? I just want to watch the last 3 flags for Psyched, as well as the beginning of the end for GrosHiken, starting to enter the 3,000 meter section. Off with a bit of a problem, but recovering it very well. The dash crystals do regenerate after a certain amount of time, so you have to use that to your advantage in some of these cases. And Psyched on flag 1 here, going to be finishing very soon. And there we go. Psyched finishing this race in first place with a final time of 32 minutes, 29 seconds, and it looks like 0.373. So 373 milliseconds. A very good race. I believe that actually beats GrosHiken's PB, so just an amazing show from Psyched. It was unfortunately the last 2 chapters were a bit of a struggle to an amazing first 5. But that's just what happens. And Psyched on flag 1. And let's get rid of that echo. So I know what the cost of that is that time. Hey. Look at me go. But and now we get GrosHiken's audio, which thumbs up. Where's GrosHiken? GrosHiken's around the halfway point, just hit flag 15, soon to be 14, as those flags are very close together. 16 right behind it, too. All right, hello there.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, man, this run, I don't know what to say.
I can understand that. I was absolutely amazed by your first 5 chapters, and then Reflection.
Yeah, I was 5 seconds ahead of PB, entering Reflection, and yeah, then I died like 10 times, or it felt like 10 times.
Wait, after those first 5 chapters, you were only 5 seconds ahead?
Yeah.
Damn. PB's early game is insane. That was an amazing, like, beginning there.
Yeah, like, I almost golded Mirror Temple as well, if I didn't mess up the last. My biggest time save in my PB is Summit, which I also kind of messed up in this run.
Okay, yeah. I would say.
A minute behind PB is nothing I can be mad about, to be honest.
Absolutely. It's especially good to be able to play like that because with this victory, you are now going to start playing best of 3s.
Yeah, I'm really hyped about the best of 3s, especially because I'm racing Moose, which I have raced in a lot of practice races since the tournament started, and that is going to be a really close race. Yeah,
I'm really excited to watch that one because you guys, back when the beginning of the tournament was starting, like we were still in the group stages, I like to do a lot of practice races, and you and Moose were usually there. And from my understanding, you guys have a pretty even record when it comes to your race history.
Yeah, I think we're 10 seconds apart from our PBs, and we were just battling each other for the higher rank on speedrun.com.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really close.
It's definitely gonna be a race you're gonna want to check out, and a huge shout out to GrosHiken. Unfortunately eliminated from the tournament after this, but a 35:02 is a great time in a race, and definitely great. I'd like to give a shout out to both of these runners. Psyched, again, you're going to be moving on to the best of 3. What is the best of 3s at top, like 16, 8? What number
top
is that?
8 is
top
the
8.
Best of 3, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so congratulations on that. Top 8 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. But also a shout out to GrosHiken, who definitely deserved to get it. I believe deserved getting as far in the tournament as they did. Every race I saw with GrosHiken was an absolutely crazy show of just excellent gameplay. So huge shout outs to both of these two on the race. But do you have anything else you want to say? Because I do not have much else.
Just thank you for commentating, of course. It's always great having the commentators in these races.
I definitely wanted to get back more into commentating before the top 8, because I know the top 8 is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, and that's going to be really close.
That.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks everybody who came by for doing so. I don't know if there are any more Celeste races today, specifically.
I think tomorrow is a race, but I'm not quite sure. I could check real quick.
Looking on the schedule right now, I don't see any other Celeste races today.
Yeah, tomorrow is Black Pair versus Scrubblord, which is going to be a really close race as well. They have quite even PBs, and none of them are rusty. So well, tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST.
That's gonna be a good one then. I'm unfortunately gonna be busy at that time, but hopefully everybody else won't be. And so yeah, I have nothing else to say. So if that's all you want to say, I'm gonna thank everybody here for showing up for the race this morning.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
And right now it looks like Ori Randomizer is going to be charging on for a while over on SG3, on Speed Gaming 3, so that's definitely my next suggestion, which, hey, I know Moose actually plays Ori Randomizer, and that's your next opponent.
Yeah.
Funny coincidence. But yeah, Speed Gaming's going to have some great things, especially with the beginning of the Ultimate Decathlon starting. The top 8 of that is going to be very exciting, and a lot of games. I'm seeing a lot of Messenger and Cuphead around midday, which is which are 2 games I love to watch a lot today.
Yeah, like Messenger is a great game, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, like I looked at the schedule like this morning and I was like, this is going to be a busy day. So definitely Speed Gaming, I would recommend if you have a lot of time today. Sure to keep you in your seat watching. Going to be really close in a lot of races. And this was just a great start to the day. So with that, I'm going to thank you all for showing up. And I'm going to be dropping out now. So thanks. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Goodbye.